Well, good evening. This is Dennis, and this is DJ's Classic Garage. And this we're doing a little live. And this week, our main topic is going to be personal luxury coupes because why not? We don't have them anymore. Kind of sucks. They were great. They were great. I actually owned one. That's why I'm doing this. I found the picture, and now I've been redoing the office, and now I can't find the picture. I had a '95 Thunderbird, and I just can't find it. Look at that vintage garage, 76 garage. He's first, man. Um, but first, I want to talk about something that happened today because my week has been like insane. This totally crazy. A few things. Hi, Autobot Al. Um, so I had the furniture used to be in this office. I wanted to give it away to charity, so I went and I tried to give away to charity. At first I tried Goodwill. I told them what type of desk it was, and they went, "No, we don't take that." I'm like, okay, that's great. So then I tried Habitat for Humanity, and they don't take furniture anymore. And then Salvation Army came out, looked at it, and said, "Well, we this desk has a scratch on it, and these are just types of furniture we just don't take." And I'm like, wow. So we're in such a spoiled country at this point that literally you charities don't want to keep talk about the Pope mobile. Yes, we should. Um the charities are so everything charities won't even take donations from people with normal furniture. Like literally, and I see this also the spoiledness in cars because people talk about the environment, all these great things, but they go out and they buy, like, even if they buy Teslas, they keep buying a new one every couple of years. That's not really being, kind of green. I'm more green than they are because my freaking truck is 9 years old, and I'm going to keep it till the wheels fall off it because that's the way it should be. So, I mean, I just had to get that off my chest. That was insane. Plus, the other thing that happened, I wanted to go start my charger up today after I'm going to do a video on testing my oil pressure, and I went to go start it, and there's no gas coming to the carburetor. Literally, there's nothing coming to the carburetor. I'm gonna be doing a video on how to find out why you don't have any gas getting to your carburetor because this is happening to me. At times I hate old cars. So this is getting a little having old cars is a lesson in frustration. And it's really weird when people say, how long has it been done? Like what time? I asked them what time it is because it still isn't done. I mean, it'll never be done because it'll never be perfect because I actually use it. And it's just the funny thing is, I'm doing a video for the last time I drove the car was at Mopar Merritt's, and we went. And I mean, I drove the car and drove the car back. I drove the car like 90 miles that day and then did two incredibly long burnouts with the car. And absolutely just could not believe that today I go to try to start it and there's nothing coming out of the fuel lines. See, look at this. Everybody's having the problem with the little delay, I guess. Everybody's having a problem with the used furniture. I mean, I don't understand this. Like, aren't there people in need that need like furniture? Like maybe their kids need a desk to like do homework on, or maybe they need a place for them to actually put their stuff or do some work. I'm at a loss here. It really just boggles my mind. So I did the responsible Italian thing. I disassembled some of it, and then I took a 3-pound sledgehammer to it, and I brought it to the dump. So yeah, that's what I did. That was my day today in 93-degree heat. I'm out there carrying 600 pounds because I weighed the truck. It's 600 pounds of desk, and I made it go away. I'm just so I'm like I just can't believe it. I had the damn thing in my house taking up half of my living room for 2 weeks, and they like, no, can't take it. Benjamin, I like to put it in my front yard, but I live in one of those things called a community. Those nasty people that don't like freedom, and yeah, so I couldn't do that. I mean, I would love to have done it, anything except what I had to do because I had to drive 40 miles round trip to go to the dump. in 93 degrees heat. So it was just one of those. It's just been one of those. It's just been one of those weeks. And then, of course, I wanted to start this at 8 o'clock, and of course, I can't tell time yet, so I did 8:30. Because sure, why not? Hey, why not? I hosted our other podcast 3 days in a row, and I had doing all the clips, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I have this again. Yeah, cool. That's great. So if you haven't had a chance to check out my latest video, I would highly recommend it just because, well, I did it about inexpensive muscle cars. And if you've seen it, share it with your friends because this is, this is where we are at this point. So, oh, a twin bed? You mean like the frame and everything, real wood, and they wouldn't take it? They wouldn't take a bed frame? Are you serious? Oh, that's insane. Oh, this is craziness. Well, yes, he is an Italian. I don't think they want to have an Italian pope. I think that they're kind of I think they're a little they're trying new things. So they figure they get American. But you know what's gonna stink is that soon there's gonna be Costco and Buc-ee's at the Vatican. It's gonna be terrible. I just I and the Pope Mobile is probably gonna be a Cadillac. maybe a Lincoln Navigator. Why? Thank you, Larry Mandela shoes. My other world. The gunk shows were good. Thank you much. Most of the time, people leave them out in the street in front of the house, and people pick them up. Yeah, I could not do that. Horatius 763. I live in one of these semi-communist neighborhoods, and they won't let me do that. I mean, they're upset that I have so many cars. So, yeah. Oh yeah. Yep, that it is. The Vatican McDonald's. That will be coming. I mean, it's just the best stuff ever. Oh my goodness. So I have a little is this still there? Okay. Yeah. So I mean, so it's just been one of these weeks, and it's been hard to actually concentrate and do things. So many weird things are happening. And just yeah, the furniture thing about put me over the top though. God, I can't wait for this weekend when it's supposed to rain. So I got a couple of news stories. Then I'm going to go into the whole thing about personal luxury coupes. This is a fascinating. I mean, I'm actually going to do a more in-depth video of it because it's really fascinating. Because it's an American thing. This isn't a German thing or an Italian thing or Asian thing. China or Japan. This is an American thing, and it was like for American exceptionalism. But first, we're gonna go and we're gonna talk about my favorite company in the whole world. Yes, Stellantis. Why not? Because, well, why not? Um, they came out with the names. I love this. They came out with the names of moose and squirrel. I can start talking about the moose and the squirrel a little later. But right now, let's talk about this nonsense. So it seems as if Stellantis still hasn't figured out how to do the U.S. market, and I'm not really going to go through the whole article. It's just that they're going to come out with the 6-cylinder Charger thing, and later this year. They're already calling it 2026, which means hell, maybe November, December before you even see it. So, oh well. But they found out the names, and all right, Daytona Scat Pack. Okay, all right. But if you notice, they're all-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and so and then they have a GT, which I don't even know what the GT is gonna be, but it's an all-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. And then the most moronic name ever, the Charger Outlaw, because there's such a long history of the Charger Outlaw. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. I would be embarrassed to drive a car called an Outlaw. Honest to God, I would be embarrassed. And all of them are all-wheel drive. So these are going to be 5,000 plus pound cars. So I don't care how much horsepower it has. This thing is going to be a fat, poor handling, chubby car. It's going to weigh almost as much as an electric car because it's all-wheel drive. Exactly. Scat Pack does sound nasty. That's correct. That is actually 3 pedals? Oh, come on, Vintage 76. 3 pedals? No, they all come with 8-speed automatics. Yep, because you're not allowed to have a stick shift anymore. I mean, that's where we are with Stellantis. They rolled out an electric appliance that no one wants. It's one of the slowest selling cars in the world, and then they're gonna launch their gas ones with their stupid name of 6-pack because it's just a 6-cylinder, and they're gonna give it the dumbest names known to mankind: Daytona Scat Pack all-wheel drive, and GT all-wheel drive, and the Outlaw. The Outlaw. Well, I w but and the thing is, I originally thought that the two-door was gonna have the higher power performance motor, and only the four-door is gonna get the lower performance motor. I have no idea what they're doing. I couldn't tell you. So I'm a little lost. I'm a little lost with with this whole thing over at Stellantis right now, and it's really sad. Dodge is pretty much, it's dead. It's pretty much dead. So, yeah, that was not fun. But then this is a little bit better though. Another another state joins the 80-mile-per-hour speed limit club. So now there is 6 states in the upper Midwest that now have 80-mile-per-hour speed limits on their highways. And it's wonderful because you know what's so funny though is when I drive here in Florida, our speed limit is only 70. And honest to God, it's only 70. And I have yet to see anybody doing 70 miles an hour on any of these highways. So this is um let's see, South Dakota, Montana, and North Dakota. So South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming, I believe, are the states do 80 miles an hour now. So yay, win for us, I guess. I don't know. Those now 80 speed has nothing to do with accidents. Poor driving has everything to do with accidents. Absolutely. Absolutely, poor driving has more to do with accidents than anything else. It has nothing to do with speed. I've driven 80 miles an hour most of my well, actually half of my adult life because the other half they had me at 55. Um, so I mean, but you drive anywhere on Florida, you drive on I-75 or on I-95, you're doing 80 all day long, twice on Sunday. Absolutely. If you're doing 70 or 75, you're getting past like you're standing still. And modern cars can easily do 80 miles per hour without any issues. They stop faster, they ride better, they're much more stable. And so it's not like you're driving out there in a 1955, Ford Fairlane because those cars were dangerous. Those cars were dangerous at 55 miles per hour. Yes, Sammy Hagar will be happy. Let's see. Sideways 117. I think most people can drive safely at around 100-ish. Anything higher than that, the brakes are not very responsive. You know, once you get over 80, toward 100, you got to have a little bit of talent to be able to do that and hold that and be safe. Because stopping from 100, it gets really long. Like going from 80 to 100, your stopping distance doubles. It's just physics at that point. So, and having driven way over 100 a few times, it is actually trying to even think about stopping is actually kind of scary. So, I love driving, quick. I love driving at a nice pace, but once you get into triple digits, it's a little too much. So, yeah, everyone around Minneapolis, St. Paul, surrounding communities drives 80 plus. And the thing is, they won't raise their speed limit, even though the traffic is already moving that way. It's just weird. It's just well, our highways are actually designed for 80 to 85. The corners, everything is made for that. Engineers over engineered our highways. It's just it's the nut behind the wheel that makes the difference. It really is. At the end of the day, it's the nut behind the wheel that makes the difference. So it's just it's just kind of it honestly, I would be more into more of a German style learning how to drive than what we do here, because what we do here is insane. We honestly don't we don't teach, like, how to do, maneuvers to keep your car from spinning or sliding or doing anything like that, and it's really weird. The only way you could do that if you do, like, autocrossing or track days, but autocrossing is actually better, and that's how you can, like, learn how to, like, get out of a slide, get out of a spin, keep it from spinning, have car control. Because I actually taught car control clinics for, quite a few years, and that was for teenagers. And obviously, nothing scares me anymore because I was riding, even though it was on a closed track, I was riding with a 17 or 18-year-old, and tell them to go on a wet skid pad and start going around in circles. Yeah, or put them into a slide, or tell them to actually make a maneuver at 50 miles an hour, go left, go around the barrier, go left and right. Yeah. So literally, yeah, not much scares me anymore because I did that. Yeah, so it's been but I think this is kind of a smart this is common sense. You don't have to drive that fast. If you don't feel comfortable, then don't do it. But I mean, a lot of us are comfortable, and 80 is like the most I'd want to do cruising. I was a wheel man. Thanks, all about Al. So, okay, so those are like two like things that popped up this week that I was like, this is kind of fascinating stuff. And yeah, the death of the stick shift is actually kind of sad especially after replacing the clutch in that old BMW, because that's really the main thing. It goes bad on sticks, and it's not a lot of work to fix it now on an automatic. Even if the torque converter blows up, it ends up being a much worse job than doing a stick shift. Yeah, that's right. I remember New York was is still 65. Oy vey. Yeah, it's a 75 type broad. Yeah, you gotta get somewhere. I remember. Oh, yeah, doing 80, absolutely not. Oh, that what's so funny though is that I saw so many Toyota Tundras, and I'm talking the 5.4, the V8 ones, doing 80 plus, and I'm going, these guys must be like making bank or something that drive these trucks, because um they're like driving 80 miles an hour in a thing that's probably getting like 8 miles to the gallon. I just don't even understand it. I mean, good lord, I see it in my truck, like, in the F-150, the way it's geared, like, really 70 to 75 is not bad. I can get 20, which, I mean, 5,000-pound truck shaped like a brick. Okay, good enough, right? That's great, you know? But, if I go over 80, it starts coming down at like 10%. It'll get down to 18. It's very much so. Yes, Jamie. I actually have a lot of Sunday drivers, and I see them all during the week too. It's wonderful. I love being on 30-mile-per-hour roads and people are doing 25 miles an hour. It helps my Italian calm nature. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely painful. See? Sideways 117. I have more fun with my old four-speed Camaro than any other car I've owned, and I'm 31. Fuel economy is more to do with gearing than anything. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to do with gearing, tire size, um, efficiency of the engine. That's a huge one, efficiency of the engine. Because an inefficient engine, um, you're gonna be killing fuel economy. I mean, that's why every turbo car will never get anything close to what the EPA has. Because when the EPA tests it, the turbos are never on. But as soon as you hit the turbos, that's an immediate dump, unless it's a diesel. Turbo diesels actually do better with that because they're actually adding more air and doing a higher compression. It's a whole it's all man, actually maybe a thought for a video. So yeah, but okay. So let's get into kind of where I was gonna go today. So today I'm gonna talk about this. Personal luxury cars. Now this is a different than a luxury car. Because and this is something that died, and it really did die with the Thunderbird in 1997. That was the last year of the Thunderbird and the Cougar, and when those 2 died, the personal luxury car in America died because there really wasn't anything left. Because it's a rear-wheel drive, mostly rear-wheel drive, but a large car, you know, kinda made for 4 people, really not something you bring a family in, and it was started by Ford in 1958 when they went to the square birds because they realized that the two-door was not going to be a very big seller. So they went and they came out with, you know, the Thunderbird. So it was a square bird, they called them. And so they came out with this one right here. If I go back to the square bird. This was like the first personal luxury car because it was really comfortable. It was just below a Lincoln, but it was high, it was the highest Ford. So you didn't pay Lincoln prices, but you got a lot of the luxury that came with it. So then in 61 they went the extra mile. They styled the car wonderfully, and this car had a whole bunch of this car had a whole bunch of luxury things there, including on this model, this generation, the seats swiveled and the steering wheel went away, and so you get in and out easier. They came with air conditioning. They this generation and this fourth generation, they had like hydraulic wipers. They had hydraulic windows. Everything was done. Of course, Ford was on the luxury cars very much making things smooth. They came with very large engines, and it was not a muscle car. It was a big cruising car that literally made you go and you look cool in. So because of that, because Ford came out with this, Buick had, they're the division that was like for doctors. And people don't really realize that doctors didn't really buy Cadillacs, they bought Buicks because it didn't look ostentatious. And Cadillacs were a lot more money. So they came out with one of the most beautiful cars ever. And it was their uh, their first personal luxury car. It is the Riviera. My uncle's friend had one of these. They put wood on the inside of the car. Absolutely just a gorgeous. I mean, look at this. That's wood. That is real wood inside this car. Absolutely just gorgeous. See, it's set for 4 people, armrest, comfortable, but it had a big block in it. I mean, it really was um and how do I get out of this now? Oh my goodness. The it had a whole why did it oh it had a whole setup to make it so it was very, very comfortable to drive. So, so they came out with this in 63 because they knew that this was going to be a big market. So then the Pontiac they came out with the Grand Prix. And it wasn't until like 65 because the first couple of years were kind of eh. It was 65 when they came out, and it was a big car, but it was a comfortable car. It had a lot of style to it, and it was a great cruiser. It came with a 389, but you can get up to the 455 in this car. I mean, this thing was an absolute animal of a car. On a highway, it was quick, and but it looked great. And honestly, the Grand Prix, you know, though it wasn't a gigantic seller in the 60s, it was still a car that everybody really liked. I mean, it really hit its stride though in the 70s when it started with this body style. And this body style in the mid 70s, I remember these cars everywhere. This one right here, 77. And they sold a lot of those cars. They sold a quarter million of those. So I mean, it's kind of fascinating, because now they're competing with the Thunderbird, and of course Oldsmobile came out with the Tornado in '66, and this is the closest they came to a personal luxury car. It was first rear-wheel drive car in America since the Cord. I'm working on one right now, trying to get it all going, but it was a two-door car made for four people, big block engine, all luxury stuff in there, but not Cadillac priced. Chevrolet didn't have it to the Monte Carlo in 70. And this is actually on my list of inexpensive muscle cars. These cars don't garner a lot of money, but they're very nicely appointed. Of course, we all remember these Monte Carlos from the mid 70s. The 70s and the early 80s. We all remember those Monte Carlos. But that's what that was. Now, one company that I did not mention yet is Chrysler, because Chrysler didn't have a personal luxury car until 1975. The Cordoba with Corinthian leather was the first personal luxury car that Chrysler built. Dodge, Chrysler, and especially Plymouth. Plymouth was not a luxury brand at all. Dodge Charger was never a personal luxury car. It was always a performance car. Even the SE, my SE was really not a luxury car. I didn't have power windows in it. I didn't have gadgets in the car. It was nice, but it was more of a sporty car. So this is what they came out with, the Cordoba. And the Cordoba was an okay car. I mean, it wasn't great. And not really didn't light the world on fire. And then, of course, my family owned one of these, the second generation, and this was ours was actually a FBI car, so it had more guts than a typical 318 because it was worked pretty hard. We had an 83, but honestly, the sales on these were terrible. I mean, it was really not a high selling car. And of course, the first generation, where's the sales on it? Um, it sold okay, but when I show you what happened with the Thunderbird, because the Thunderbird went through a massive change in the 70s, because this is Lee Iacocca's car here. This car right here, the four-door Thunderbird, the square nose, that was Lee Iacocca's idea to move it even more upmarket. So what happened is that it moved upmarket, even more away from the sporty, and then we got into these really big birds in the early big birds in the early 70s with the big pointy nose, and then they started downsizing the cars. And then you have this one. Now this car, the 77 to 79 on the surface, I mean, it's a nice looking car. I mean, really nobody looks for these today. But would I tell you that this was one of the best selling cars in like seriously best selling model of any car outside of the Mustang? They sold 400,000 of these in 1977. They sold almost a million of these cars in 3 years. I'm dead serious. They literally sold 955,000 of these Thunderbirds from 1977 to 1979 in those 3 years. That is absolutely amazing. And those cars were just mid at best, but it was just the right kind of luxury and comfort and frills, and it was just kind of settling in with the gas crisis, and it wasn't a bad fuel economy car. And then they did this car that was garbage. And then everybody remembers the Jelly Bean Bird. And then this is the one I had, the 10th generation. I had a 95 with a 4.6 in it. When they went to the 4.6 in 1994, and the 4.6 was not a good engine. In the early forms, was not a good engine. In fact, I don't think any time it was a good engine. So it just kind of let me get myself settled here. Do. So what you see what happens though is that ever since that car went away, the American manufacturers haven't made they don't even make cars anymore. So forget about actually getting a personal luxury car. Um and now we just kind of well, what's missing though, because this was a car that you can get a lot of bells and whistles in, but you didn't pay a Lincoln or a Cadillac price. And that's really what the key was, is that somebody like you or me, that had a good job or whatever, you can go out and you can buy one of these cars and you could feel like you had something kind of special and nice. I mean, because my Thunderbird had I had a lot of options. I had a power moonroof in it. It had motion electric seats in it. Um, Great stereo in the car. It will power everything. Really, it was really nice, and it gave you that whole cockpit feeling. You were just kind of in something a lot more expensive than what that car was. And it was really a shame though to see when that went away, because the thing it was Ford had very bad management at that time, and they were actually trying to prop up Jaguar. So they went away from that car, which they should have gone to another generation. I think it could have done pretty well. But yeah, Ford Ford is notorious for this. Um, the Jelly Bean Thunderbirds, yes, they were on the Fox body, because they developed the Fox body in the late 70s, actually mid 70s, because the Granada is a Fox body car. That horrible Granada is a Fox body car. And the 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 thing is, the Fox body, Ford stumbled onto a really useful platform that can hold small V8s and V6s and 4s. And actually they can stretch it and shrink it to make it fit very well. The thing with the Thunderbirds is, they I'm trying to think. I think they went to independent rear on the turbo coupes. And that was the one thing about the Fox body, because it was still using architecture from the early 70s. We had a solid rear axle in it, and it would I believe they had coil springs and well, actually I guess it was struts all around. So oh yeah, we can't forget the Fairmont. Yeah, the Fairmont. Oh, God. The Granada and the Fairmont, great cars. Um, I should do a whole thing on the Malays. All these cars I remember from when I was a kid, the Malays cars from the late 70s, because you can't find them anymore. You have to talk about them like with story time. But back to the point on like the Thunderbird, is that then when they moved to the 89 Thunderbird, they still used they went away from the Fox body. Um, they went away from the Fox body and they went to a new body style, new chassis style that was kind of a world platform, and it was pretty good. It had a weird setup though, is that the the drive shaft sat above the gas tank, and which is weird. And you couldn't see the drive shaft from underneath the car. People thought it was front wheel drive. It was a rear wheel drive car with an independent rear. Very actually pretty stout back end. I never broke the rear end. I broke 3 torque converters in that car, but I never broke the rear end. The 4.6 top end gave up on it, where the valve seals and everything was basically eating oil. But yeah, It pretty much I got rid of it with 110,000 miles, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done with this." Yes, the turbo T-birds can make go very fast to work. Yes, that four-cylinder, which is still used today, the variation of that four-cylinder, the 2.3, is still used today. In fact, that is the base engine on a Bronco, base engine on a Mustang. That is a base engine on the Ranger, is that 2.3 liter four-cylinder. That engine is built like a tank. Ford developed that engine for the Pinto in 1971. They literally went and they developed this four-cylinder that, to get because they had a European outlet, and they knew that they're gonna have to get some type of fuel economy, so they developed a four-cylinder, and it was a 2.3 liter. And they had it in the Pinto, and it's a shame that the Pinto had its issues, slight issues they had, because honestly, the technology that they put in that car made it a very, very good car to compete with the Asian cars that were coming. It got very good fuel economy. The hatchback version, actually the hatchback, the main version, had a lot of room in the back, and those station wagon version, which you see in the Blues Brothers, actually had tons of room in the back. And it had a decent, I mean, it had a decent drivetrain in it. So everything about that car was not bad. It's just that they didn't do enough crash testing and left the gas tank a little too exposed in the first couple of years. You kind of had a couple fires. Oh, Autobot's going to send me a pic though of friends Monte Carlo. I love Monte Carlos. So yeah, but the the thing with the personal with all those personal luxury, way Ford did it though was actually the neatest because they invented the thing. But Ford was really smart in that they started using platforms for the Thunderbird that would be used by other cars. So they didn't have to make as much money on the Thunderbird, but it was like a flagship car for them. And that's kind of the what each of these divisions, it became a flagship car for them. And we don't have, and once again, don't have that anymore. It's kind of weird how we've got to the point now because of regulation and all the type of bad things that the government has done to us, that we don't have these types of vehicles anymore. Now people just buy 5,000-pound trucks instead of buying those cars. Because that's why I have my truck because I need to bring stuff like my broken desk that I had to get rid of. But, you know, honestly, um, I would much rather have a car, but I can't have a car that could seat 5 people. Let's see. Dawn Sanders. Hey, Dennis, what do you think of Pontiac? I had an 87 Trans Am GTA. Yeah. Pontiac was a very great division. Pontiac was the original performance division. It was actually the only performance division in America because nobody else had a performance division. Ford didn't have one. They really didn't. Uh, also, uh, Chrysler didn't have a performance division. This whole thing noticed that Dodge is a performance division is insane. It isn't. It's a family. It's an average man division. It's a nice car division. Pontiac, especially in the day, like that at 87, that lost a little bit of the Pontiac mystique because it was using a General Motors engine. It was using, I think that one, the GT had 350. But Pontiac still did its little due diligence with that car where they went and they tweaked the suspension on it. They tweaked the body. They gave it a great body kit. They gave great seats in that car. That car was fast, and honestly, it was probably faster than the Camaro, even though it's same engine line, but it was Pontiacized, I guess. Now, the thing about older Pontiacs when they used Pontiac engines, Pontiac did not have a small block, big block. Every one of their engines was the same size. They literally had the same spacing between all the 350 at the same spacing as the 455. So Pontiac was, I mean, really ahead of their curve because they made basically one type of engine, and it made production easier. But then also the other thing that Pontiac did is that they took super pride in their workmanship. Unlike my Chrysler, where literally you take a Chrysler head off and you look at the how it's been finished, it really hasn't. It's been finished enough that they can assemble the engine. The inside of my block, I did a video and there's like weird casting things. That's just the way they're cast poorly. Pontiac, my God, it was like a watchmaker did it. In fact, you don't even have on Pontiacs, you don't even have to use valve cover gaskets. I mean, honestly, if everything is right, you don't have to. They're so machined, it seals. The metal on metal will seal. Um, it's just kinda it's one of those it's one of those cars I wouldn't mind having. I wouldn't mind having any Pontiac from the classic era. Actually, I wouldn't even mind having one of those GTAs because that thing's just a beast. Let me see. Long question here. Hold on. Sideways 117. Do you think there is a world where people who care about cars stop buying new cars and just either build their own or buy kits? The regulations seem to be getting in the way of what people want. That's a great question. I think people have been addressing that, and they're kind of it's getting a little more mainstream where you can go out and buy a kit and register it. I know there's certain states are worse than others. Florida isn't that bad. Um, you just have to get a safety inspection after you're done once, which is fine. Uh, and it was, honestly, it's not a bad idea because that's why we have those retro markets for cars because the continuation cars. I know that Ford just stopped a partnership with theirs, and oh no, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay. They and then the thing is they were trying to make those cars compliant to modern crash standards. And as much as I love my Charger, I damn well know that it could not pass a modern crash standards at all. There's no way on God's green earth any car built, a car 10 years ago, and this is why this is so silly and it's just a weird move on their part. A car from 10 years ago wouldn't be able to pass today's standards. And it's just that's how much regulation we've had added in the last decade. And it does everything but, help people get into cars. It actually kind of limits the access to cars because it makes them much more expensive. Everything you add to a car makes it much more expensive. And you're right though. I wouldn't mind having a kit car with roll down windows. It has to have air conditioning, but even manual steering doesn't matter. Power brakes are pretty important to me, though. I like stopping. The turning isn't such a bad thing, and just have a steel body around me, and again, and even if you have a tube chassis, which is stronger than unit body, not a bad thing. I mean, honestly, not a bad thing. And there's plenty of cars that are kitted already, and a lot of them are not really useful. Most of them are like Cobras, and if it rains, you're kind of screwed, and they're miserable to drive anyway. But something like a Daytona Coupe, that'd be kind of cool to have as a kit car because it's enclosed, and you could put a modern Coyote motor in there, and you can go drive cross country. So it's kind of neat. Yeah, I'm hoping that something like that starts happening. Yes, the I actually somewhere around the corner for me, Venture 76 had a 73 Super Duty, and that car was beautiful, and that was the last car until like maybe 20 years ago that ran in the 13 seconds and a quarter mile out from the factory. Oh, gee, Canada. Hey, we have Canada in the house. You're a not blocked. You're right there. Dear Lord. Oh, all right. Let's see. All the safety, sideways 117, all the safety standards seem silly considering you can still drive a motorcycle around without a helmet. Yeah, exactly. Without a helmet and without body armor on you. Literally, I always go statistic. I literally saw a guy the other day driving a motorcycle. And this is Florida. I mean, traffic. He had he had flip flops on, shorts, a wife beater, and sunglasses. That's what he was wearing, driving in pretty heavy traffic. So I guess he just wants to go. I guess he just wants to go. That I mean, really, seriously. Let's see. I had an '84 Chevette when I was a teen. Manual steering was fine. Is your Lou Ferrigno? Well, yeah, and that's a front wheel drive car though. That's why. No, I'm just using a Coyote. Well, because actually the Coyote is probably the best. It's one of the best V8s ever made, and I said that because it is. I've never seen an engine where you can go take a stock engine, throw a supercharger on it, throw nitrous on it, and you don't blow it up. Damn. I'm I I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all my Chrysler friends, but the modern Chrysler Hemi's garbage. It really is not a good engine. And I wouldn't want to use one. I mean, it, it's based on a 318 and it has oiling problems. I mean, you could solve the oiling problems, but it's too much work. Coyote's cheaper and faster. Oh, the Chevette was rear-wheel drive? Oh, that's right. It's like the last God. Ugh. I forgot about that. Let's see. IS is engines? IS engines? IS engines. I have no idea. IS engines. Okay. Uh yeah, but I mean see, that's the other problem we have now with all these LS engines. Uh the thing about the LS engine is that it's cheap because it's omnipotent, omnipresent. I the thing about it is they're kind of reliable. I mean, but they're not Coyote reliable, and I really mean that with peace and love. And the other thing is, though, if you blow it up, it's $500 to replace it. I'll give you that. I mean, it's because they have LS Fest at Beach Bend Park up there in Bowling Green, where they hold Mo Party. And, it's packed because, you can go out on the weekend to the junkyard and find an LS because that's where you can find a lot of them. And, buy the engine, go just throw a bearing set in it, maybe put some pistons in it, do some clean up the heads. And, you could probably twist it, get 600 horsepower. So yeah, I'll give it that. Let's see. Chevette may be the worst cars ever. The really sad part, the four-cylinder Mustangs that same terror were equally slow as a Chevette. It was a travesty. Yeah. Oh, that Fox Body four-cylinder was horrible. The Chevette was really bad, but I mean I give you the Chrysler K car and anything based on that, and you can't. I'll fight you on that one. Those are the worst cars ever made. On American car, the K car was utterly the worst. It was garbage. Utterly just garbage. Let's see. I had many Chrysler's. Anyone had a problem. They were beautiful cars. I really liked them, but the problem, though, the Breeze, Stratus, and Tulip. Well, there's your there's your problem. You ended up buying some of the worst Chrysler products ever made. The Breeze was, God, was that a bad car? And the Stratus, and the LeBaron convertibles were bad. Yeah, then they're no, they were bad. Our family actually had an '89 LeBaron convertible. No, it was a LeBaron coupe, and the torque steer on that thing was so bad that going uphill, and trying to go around a corner, and the car would fight me and want to go straight. I mean, just honestly, just a horrible, horrible car. I mean, just absolutely terrible. Oof. God, I can't believe that Chevette was $4,500 brand new. Holy mackerel. The price of cars, it was went up so much in the '80s. Holy God. Because 5 years earlier, that's a nice car for $4,500. Seriously, that's how fast cars. Yes, the vintage '76 Garage. Actually, ours had the turbo in it. We had a LeBaron with the turbo in it, and the torque steer was atrocious. It was almost impossible to go around corners in that car and give it any gas. I own Anthony owns a Ford Maverick. Not oh, you own a current one, as my daughter calls the Mick truck. It's almost a truck. I mean, they're great. Actually, it's a great car. Like, I'll make fun of it, but it's actually for a vehicle, it's a great vehicle. I mean, it's perfect. It gets great fuel economy. You can throw stuff in the back. I mean, what more would you want? Let's see. G Canada had a four-door. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Four-door Dodge Shadow. Yes, it was. It was your winter car. Of course, it was. 3-speed and auto. Uh, oh yes, you can pull out the. It had the. Oh, it had that. They had that Dodge option where you can pull out the rear passenger side floor mat and you can see the road. Yeah, my uncle had a Challenger like that. We went over to Skyway Bridge and I could see the water. That wasn't fun. Let's see. Sideways 117. I have a 1990 D150 Ram. Do you think a 392 or 57 third gen Hemi would be a better swap? The original motor is a 318. Probably. I mean, just because you can get a wrecked. I mean, if you're gonna do it, get the 392. You can find wrecked ones everywhere because it just seems like that way. They have a lot of kits to hook up. Yeah, remember you're dealing with a lot more computer stuff, so they have a lot of you have to hook up with the computers to do engine control. The transmission doesn't have to be. Uh, I believe it could bolt up to the whatever that version of the 727 is in that year, because it's still a 727. It says it has overdrive. I think it's like that's 589 or some weird number. But you could also get a 360 and put it in there and go get a Holley aftermarket fuel injection or one of the aftermarket fuel injections, and it'll still be a great truck. And with a 360, you have a lot more reliability, especially you get one of the roller ones. You can find the roller ones a lot. You get a roller 360, put fuel injection on it. Won't be as fast as a 392, but it'll be a pretty reliable engine with a lot of torque. So there's that. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. So it all comes down to price, I guess. Wow. Yep. So Benjamin had a 89 and 91 LeBaron. The 89 came with a 70,000 miles. Yep. They had to throw giant warranties because they couldn't sell their cars. Oh. Let's see. The Shadow cost me $400 plus $100 and 2 cases of beer to save. Wow. I had a promise not to sell it for 6 months to the mechanic. Oh, that is I remember when you can get $400 cars. Wow. And you could actually drive it. That was the thing though. You literally just put oil in that thing, kept air in it, antifreeze, whatever. And I know it was a winter car, so you had just put the winter studded tires on. But you just drove the hell out of that car. And I bet it never left you stranded. Right? I mean, it's so amazing because now I go on Marketplace to torture myself because I go look at like used cars on there because that's like the new place to look. And $1,500 gets you a car with a blown head gasket. Or my favorite, it was a 2002 BMW 325 that the car doesn't start and they don't know why, but they fit. It'll be good enough for you to buy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's what we got now. Cars that just don't. Yeah. In the old days where you could actually do engine swaps without problems, because now you can't do an engine swap on a car. Yeah, how can you? Everything's integrated in the computer systems on them. So there's no way to actually be able to get it so it'll work. It'll do anything right. I mean, the 90s is the last time you could really take a car and swap the engines and put something else in it and continue using the car. And that's that whole throwaway mentality we have because you can't do anything with a modern car. Oh, uh let's see, yeah. Yep, it was my winter car until I moved in with my wife. Then she drove my '87 Mark 7. Oh, all year round. It does not seem fair at all. I love those cars. My boss had one at the gas station. He bought it for his wife. His wife was hot. And, I love that car because it was a Thunderbird on steroids. It was fast. I mean, it had the Mustang motor, and it was fast. It was comfortable. Nice car, man. And yes, $400 is now moped money. Yeah, or mini bike. Go out and try to price a mini bike right now, and your head's gonna spin because I wanted, like, a mini bike to do for the drag strip. You can't touch one for under $400, and forget about the electric ones. They're like $700, and I'm like, it's a mini bike. You can't do anything with it. It's literally non-streetable. Could you just use a standalone ECU to control your engine? Yes, you could, but on modern cars, everything's tied together. So the engine is tied into the brakes, which is tied into an anti-lock, tied into the yaw system, tied into traction control. It's tied into your climate control. All these things are talking to the engine computer, and you just can't. It they made it so everything's so reliant on everything else that it makes it almost impossible to do that. Let's see. I had a friend who had a Geo Metro. I think he got it in a vending machine with gum. Actually, I had a friend that his beater car was a Geo Metro with the 3-cylinder in it. And he drove BMWs and literally went to him and was like, "Dude, upgrade the beater." That's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you that you're in that car. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just not a great it's not great. Ah, the Lincoln LSC was the nicest car I ever had. What a beautiful cruising machine. Comfortable and looks great. Just black and chrome sunroof leather. Air ride and yep, 8.8 rear. I mean, it literally they put a Mustang drivetrain in there. Hot Rod Lincoln. I remember when they came out and Motor Trend I literally had one on the cover lighting the tires up with billowing smoke behind it. It's just I mean that is just when you had that luxury car, that luxury coupe that we don't even have that now. I mean, it's different than a BMW or a Mercedes. There's something just so different about that type of luxury car. It wasn't meant to go. It was fast, but it wasn't meant to go fast. It was kind of like a statement of like, hey, look, this is a pretty cool car, and you kind of cruise in that car. And yes, it is sad about new cars, vintage '76. It's embarrassing. Uh, what about all you, man? You had some nice rides. You all had some nice rides. Yep. Oh, Larry Mandello's shoes. Remember Yugos. Okay, so actually, personal experience. Two personal experiences with Yugos. So actually, I went to the New York Auto Show when they first released them, and I was a punk teenager, and but I was all in the car, so I got into this Yugo, and like sitting there, and I was maybe 120 pounds, and the damn thing like leaned when I got in. I'm like, oh, so I'm there, and I had pushed in the. It was a it was a 4-speed, pushed in the clutch, and I was just seeing the action, and it was ratchety, it was ratchety, horrible shifting motion, and I kind of went through the gears once, came back down, and the guy go, excuse me, could you stop doing that because we're worried about the linkage breaking. I'm like, dude, it's a stick shift. If I can't move it back and forth a few times, this isn't good. But then even better, my grandfather's dealership, he was a warranty manager there. They started selling these cars and they brought them on the lot and he would I would be there for summertime, high school, and hang out with my grandparents. And he'd come home and he'd be like, "Yeah, we got one today. It was missing paint." Or this one was missing the air cleaner, or this one didn't have the spare tire in it. I mean, they literally couldn't get these things. Or one of them was taken into the car wash and the water was basically going straight through the car. That's how watertight these things were. I mean, honestly, if you could find one, be pretty impressive. Oh, Anthony, anyone in the chat have a Volkswagen thing? Damn. I love things. There was actually in my neighborhood growing up on St. Mary's Avenue, there was a yellow thing that was just parked in front of this guy's house. I never got to find out who owned this thing, but it was out there and it was just set up to be durable and whatnot. It was very nicely done. Everything was just painted and sealed and whatnot. And this is like in the 80s. And it was at that point, it was still a collector thing. But it was just there. What I always find them cool because 'cause they're just the most basic of cars. Let's see. Let's see. Uh, G Canada, power when you wanted it, but yeah, this is about the Lincoln. Yeah, the 4-speed auto tamed it on considerably. I can say women absolutely love that car. I heard, is that yours a lot? Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean about it. Yeah, I know that Vintage 76 has a 76 VW Beetle, which is a cool car. Uh, and then, have you read the Stephen King Christine book? No, I have not. I've seen the movie. The movie scares the hell out of me. I have a hard time going by 59 Plymouths at this point, but I should read the book. His books are a lot better than his movies, except for The Shining, because Kubrick did The Shining and it's better than the book. No, Ed Rooney saw a Yugo on Marketplace. Oh my God, you should have bought it. You'd be the only person in America with it. You've never heard of Volkswagen? All right, fine. Here we go. I will pull up a Volkswagen thing. Oh, this is just like the open in image in the tab. There we go. All right, here. This is what a Volkswagen thing looks like. And this is exactly like the one the guy had near my house. It's based on a German staff car from World War II. So there's that, but there it is. Very basic automobile, convertible. I don't know if it had roll up windows or not. I don't remember, but it's basic, and the engine is in the back. That's the trunk in the front. So yeah, that's a Volkswagen thing. Oh, 58 Fury. Like I said, I've had one of these weeks. I've also dehydrated today. BMW Isetta is best car ever. Urkel for the win. I went to Vintage the Vineyard many years ago with my 3 Series, and they were giving Isetta rides. I rode in one of those. It was weird, because you walk in the front and you sit down and they pull it in and it's like the steering wheel comes to you and yeah, I wouldn't really wanna be out on the road one of those. That sounds kinda scary. Oh, so you did G Canada worked at a VW dealership. I bet you saw those when they were somebody had to bring those in. The VW thing was on porn of course it was. Yes, and I was wrong. It was a 58, not a 59. I'm so sorry. I heard King picked that car because he thought it was plain and ugly. Yes, yes, it is. And huge. Let's see. It's not ugly. It's pretty in its own way. Let's see. Um, oh, yeah, G Canada working the Volkswagen dealership. The owner would watch you move the car. As soon as you got past the showroom window, you would floor every car until you got to the back of the parking lot. Of course, that's usually what happens. And Vinci 76, tell me to read the book. Yes, I'll read the book. Oh, let's see. Um, Patty and Selma drove a thing on The Simpsons. See, the things are everywhere. Benjamin, how you missed this? Thanks, Ed Rooney. Uh, yes, the real Christine had 4 doors, but they made it sexy in the movie. Made it a coupe because people like 2 doors, I guess. Uh, AMC Pacer is probably the ugliest car. It's pretty bad. Yeah, the Pacer was pretty bad looking car. Yeah, we'll pull one up because AMC was very good at making ugly cars. And Wayne's World ended up like making this car a star because, well, Wayne's World. They because this is what they were in, and it was basically a how can I put it? It was basically a greenhouse on wheels, and that did get hot in the back. And the passenger door was actually 2 inches longer or 3 inches longer than the driver's door, so it'd be easier for the people to get out of the back seat. But that is an ugly car. I can't even defend how ugly that thing is. Though, wait a minute, if you've never seen one, I will take that and I will raise you the 1962 Dodge Dart because this is what ugly this is ugly incarnate. I don't know how Chrysler survived this car. Look at this. Look at this. It has lines everywhere. This is Virgil Exner's work. Every angle of this car is an angle. This car is tough to look at. And actually, people have cut them in half and actually put 2 fronts together because you can. Because it's so ugly, you could just do that. Told you. I told you. Ooh. A Daewoo, those are I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to say what American cars, but I know exactly that oh my god, that car is hideous. Yes, G Canada. I won't put the yes, what the F is that? That is Virgil Exner after his heart attack. That's what he came up with. He got rid of the fins, and that's what he gave Chrysler for 2 years until they fired him. Because, dear God, and the 2-door is no better looking than the 4. It was bad. Oh, Steve Magnet does have one. Yes, he has. I mean, they're ugly, but yeah. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, he probably had the 4-door like this to please. Yeah, looks like a pig snout. Yes, yes, and those are actually headlights on the inside. Yes, the headlights are in the grill also. Yes, it is a tragedy. It's a travesty. This car, because it doesn't get any better. Like here's the side view of the car. Okay, look at the side view of this car. Nothing helps this car. Nothing. Nothing helps this car. There is no angle on this car that makes it look good. Yes, a farcical car. Yeah. Yeah, and I take a heart attack over the car that yeah, it's ugly. And what's sad is that these cars came with 413 or 426 max wedges. I mean, they actually had high performance take this. Like this one here This is a Max Wedge car. It's a 413 car, and it's still ugly. I mean, look at this. Oh, yeah, this is the taillights. Uh, yeah, like I said, from any angle, this car is hideous. There's nothing, there's no part of this car that looks great. Nothing. The only way the Dodge Dart looks nice if your eyes are made of glass. Hashtag blind. Told you. All right. So the thing is, at the time, Dodge's engine. All right, G Cannon, no way, really. That's crazy to put that motor in that car. No, Chrysler's engine engineers, their drivetrain engineers were light years ahead of everybody. They really were. They were building stuff that, nobody was thinking of putting together. I mean, they were able to, they made a high performance engine you actually could drive on the street Hemi. They found ways to put over 1,000 CFM into a street engine and make it work. Unfortunately, Virgil Exner gave them this thing, and it didn't get any better because then they got 62 Valiant. Wait, the Valiant is rough. They're both. Oh, yeah. All right. So I did a video on this car. Oh God, this is a tough car. I did a video on this because this was the introduction of the Slant Six. Chrysler, Chrysler and their finite wisdom made this its own division, and this was to compete against European cars. And it was supposed to be a handling car, a quiet car, and it was. Unfortunately, Virgil Exner did this to it. There is no person, there's no sane person that looks at this car and goes, "Wow, I gotta have 2 and M." This car is tough. Yeah, it's no, the Dart had a little different set of taillights, and this is an A body, that was a B body. This was the original A body car, but the styling was the same, and this is vomitous. This is really vomitous. This is a really, really ugly car. And Virgil just, I mean, if you read about Virgil Exner, he just, they fired him and then they came out. This was 63 to try to save the car because it became a Plymouth Valiant. And they did this to try to save it. Actually, somebody made a hot rod. There we go. They did this to try to save the car. It still only had a Slant Six in it, but at least it wasn't. Now you didn't want to vomit every time you looked at it. It's bland. Now it's just bland. Z Pie. Exactly. Thank you, G Counter. Hit the like. Hit the like and subscribe and the share. Please. Pretty please. Let's see. So why was GM so popular in the mid 60s? And is the early 60s Mopar some sort of that reason? All right. So here is why, in my opinion, obviously I'm saying this, that General Motors was so popular. Keep on moving. General Motors had figured a way to give you a lot of options in a car. And they really made a car that could be tailor-made to you. Because Chrysler kind of built you a basic car with no frills in it. So, I mean, tilt wheel was really an odd thing to get in a Chrysler. Air conditioning was kind of a thing, but drum brakes were really a standard. They really didn't do anything. Ford, the same way. Ford really didn't go crazy with giving you a lot in the car. General Motors gave you a lot in the car. Like if you went out and bought a Impala, you got a lot of car for your money. You really did. You got a really nice car. But then the way General Motors set it up, like, okay, I had my Impala for a while, for a year or two. I'm doing okay now. Let me move up to a Pontiac. And so then you got you moved up to you got a Catalina. You got a big cruising car for the family. And it had all the bells and whistles in it. They had the best air conditioning because they owned Frigid Air, and their air conditioning was crazy cold. I mean, stupid crazy cold. So you had super cold air. They had disc brakes available, more readily available. They had tilt steering. They had um, very, very good, comfortable cars. And that's why. And plus, they always made a car for your kind of feel. If you needed a sedan, that you had a big block in it, you had choices. You had a Chevy if you wanted basic, a Pontiac a little more sporty, a Buick to make it a little more nice, Oldsmobile to be a little more on the luxury side, and then of course then you go to Cadillac. So they really did make a lot of the things that people wanted, or as they staged through life, because that's why they became General Motors, and that's why they were so popular. Plus, when they developed their small block V8, and they actually continued this with especially Chevy. They did the small block V8, and the other divisions copied. They put it so the sump was in the back of the engine. Okay, so when it accelerated, all the oil went to where the oil pickup was. And this was a huge thing. So the engines actually were very reliable. We make jokes about it, but they were fairly reliable when you were especially racing them because the sump was in the back. A Chrysler is not. A Chrysler sump is toward the front because Chrysler, using the torsion bar suspension, wanted everything um, pushed to the back, have all the stuff behind the wheels for a better handling and driving. And it it caused a problem. That's why there's so many blown up 440s out there. I mean, or Hemis. If you didn't have a dry sump system, if you made a car that ran 10 seconds or less, you ran out of oil. You literally blew the engine up because it would starve. That's why That's why you always see a Chrysler with a milled on, uh, oil pan that holds 9 quarts of oil, because otherwise that car ain't gonna live. And that's why it's so not really, it doesn't matter especially a Chrysler muscle car, if it has the original engine, because most of them are warranty blocks. I would guarantee half of those cars, I mean, if they were really driven, half of them have warranty blocks in them. I mean, yep, and Ed Rooney also points out the rear sump made it easier to put into the early hot rods. Yes, because you can build the suspension up front with the way the hot rods were, especially the old Fords. Everything's way up front. I mean, Chrysler's engineers were really, really great at putting at making things as best they can. But honestly, that was a giant. And Uncle Tony did a video on the sump also, because it really is a huge detriment to it. But that's why, and that was the other reason that the General Motors products were so popular, is because A, all the options, and B, plus you had thousands of options for engines. I mean, hell, from an inline six all the way up to a tri-power car. They and literally the same model would have all those engine possibilities. They just had leverage because of their size. They were even big. They were the biggest car company in the world by far. So it really made a huge difference. The only thing is that they were very late to the game with the personal luxury car. But then when they did it, they basically owned it, because I mean, between the Monte Carlo, the Grand Prix, the Toronado, by the 70s, those cars were ubiquitous with personal luxury cars. I mean, I know the Thunderbird sold a lot of one model, but they ended up selling more of those cars combined, just because they could configure the car more to personal taste. It's a shame that General Motors just mismanaged itself to this point where now it's kind of a joke. And they got rid of two really great divisions because, I don't know, you know, it's sad. when you really look back at them from in the like their heydays in the 60s and 70s. I'll even say the 70s were the heydays for General Motors because they adjusted and adapted very well and still made cars that were cool. Actually, Sideways 117. Actually, no. The Barracuda came out 6 months before the Mustang. And then Chrysler knew the Mustang was coming out, and they built the Barracuda. They built it on their A body, their Valiant frame. Unfortunately, they still had Virgil Exner designing cars, and the car was hideous because they put a big piece of glass in the back. They didn't do fender arches in the back. They had fender skirts where you couldn't see the top of the tire, so you couldn't put wide tires on it. It had the Valiant grill in it still. It really didn't scream fun. It just screamed, "Hey, we're here," and it was there 6 months before, and it sold miserably because it was just such a blah car with a giant glass window. And it was a shame. The styling on that car killed that car because that had the 273 in it, which was so much better than the 289. Absolutely so much better than 289. And I mean, it's terrible. Yes, Uncle Tony did a video on the A body. He has plenty of those. The because I did one. I did it on the Slant 6, kind of, because I mean, they're ubiquitous. You can't have one without the other. And yeah. Yep, Eric the Great. We went from regulated gasoline cars to unregulated electric cars. Yeah, because that's what they want. So, you have an appliance that may or may not catch fire. So that's, that's where we are at this point in this world. Hopefully things will get better for people that like cars. I hope. Let's see. Ford has become an absolute disaster also. Getting rid of all the sedans is insane. People are buying Camry, Sonata, Elantra, Civic, Accord, etc. Meanwhile, a Hyundai are terrible, but they sell. Yes. Ford, the current president of Ford is Farley. I don't like him. I don't think he's a great leader. I think he's kind of a mediocre politician than a great car leader because they should have kept the sedan. There's so much market there. And I know you're not gonna be able to beat the price on those other cars because remember, those other cars have less union money going into them. But if you built the car that was $5,000 more, but it lasted twice as long, you would sell it. That's just math. That's why in the old days you used to buy used Cadillacs and Lincolns because you knew you can keep driving the car. Hyundais are terrible. What goes on? Uh, uh, the the thing with the Hyundai is that to make these crazy fuel economy things, they made the pistons this tall. They literally are this tall. And so basically all the rings are so close together that you basically burn them up. And I mean, if you don't do a lot of oil changes in them, you will smoke that motor in less than 50,000 miles. You will smoke it. No questions asked. That is a 3 to 5,000 mile oil change engine all day long, twice on Sunday. It is not built well enough to last. So, yeah. I just honestly think it's just too. It's really not. Ford just they're wasting, and also they're losing $1 billion a quarter on electric appliances, and that money could have honestly gone to, I don't know, building a better car than actually building I don't know, electric appliances no one wants. Now they're losing $60,000 in every Mach-E they sell. 60 grand on every one they sell. That's not good math. Let's see. My parents actually went and bought a new brand Hyundai Sonata Sport because my mother loved the way it looked, but they couldn't get a sedan. They don't drive far and take care of it, but I hate it. Well, yeah. I mean, but you have to take care of it. I mean, it's not gonna uh it's really it's really yeah. For them, I guess it's fine, but you gotta make sure you change the oil a lot, especially short drives. Yeah, that's 3,000 miles. Sideways 117. I think electric cars are done. I don't see how they'll survive the next 10 years. As soon as the incentives dry up, they will be expensive, and I don't think politicians have support to ban com ICE in real engines. Yeah, I'm kind of going on that, except in Europe. Europe is a messed up place. Remember, Europe was run by kings and queens less than a century ago, and, they like their being told what to do. It just seems that way. But, here, no, there's no infrastructure to make an electric car work. It's a lot more effort. Honestly, if they took the reins off and let the manufacturers build diesels, that run on biodiesel, you would literally be able to drive 100 miles per gallon in a car, and, that would be safe and honestly be, one of the greatest things you could ever have, and you would do what you need to do. It would have enough power to go, pull things or put stuff in it. It's honestly, it's utter silliness at this point. Honest silliness at this point. And the only way that, and actually, you could even go a step further. You make a diesel electric hybrid like a freight train, and you have the diesel running at 1,000 RPM, and you hook it to an electric motors, and you don't need that batteries, and then you can go probably 1,000 miles on a tank of gas or a tank of diesel. So there's that. Uh, Ford hit a massive home run with the Maverick hybrid, then stopped making enough to meet demand. Now they're twice the price. Ford shot, yes. That's been the Ford way. I mean, I have a Bronco. Trust me. I fully understand that. Trust me. I have a Ford Bronco, and I waited 364 days for it. It's due to incompetence. Let's see. Good watches have capacitors, not batteries. Unfortunately, God is for lithium miners to blame for California falling into the ocean. Well, California is a disaster. We won't even go there. I could do a 3-hour show on what a mess that place is. I mean, at least now Jay Leno's trying to make it so, old cars don't have to have like the same freaking ridiculous inspections that new cars do, because you don't even driving that much. So, but man, they're just nuts over there. Um, let's see. No, I'm not going to talk about that. Diesel hybrids get 60, yes, on the highway all day long in a medium large size sedan. My sister rented a Mercedes in Europe, drove all over. My brother-in-law said he got 60 miles per gallon in a C-Class. Yeah, it, it makes a lot more sense than just using, because I'm not against using an electric motor as a helper, because there is benefits to it. If you don't do all the silly electrical stuff in there, it actually is it's a very cheap, easy way to get extra power. The problem is that they make them very complicated, and it doesn't need to be that complicated. So that's kind of the issue with it. But I look at it, when you do it right, I look at it as like just adding a supercharger or a turbocharger on the car. It's just something to help the gas motor move. Sort of like what Formula One does. Formula One, that's pretty much what they're doing, is that they have a little electric motor that's behind, in line with the actual gas engine they have, and that gives an extra 150 horsepower. So and I mean, they're turbocharged, all sorts of craziness, but it shows the proof of concept with it. Yes, just not here, because we're not allowed to have diesels. Uh, I love my mom's Ford Bronco. They're maneuverable for the size. Sideways 117. Yeah, we have a 2022. 22? I'm looking at the thing. Yeah, 2022. It's a good little vehicle. It can go through anything. It's insane. And we actually have we have the man transmission. We have the 6+1, with the crawl gears, the manual. So that's the way it goes. Let's see. Electric cars with transmission don't need such a large motor or power source. Yes and no. The thing is, when an electric motor, their power, the way they're very linear on power, and to shift it would be kind of ridiculous. It's not like a gas engine, which has a flat torque curve. Actually, their torque curve goes up and up and up because it's a spinning mass. So with a gas engine, you can build your maximum torque at 1200 RPM and go flat out. And that's why you need that the transmission. Then you can keep it in the middle of that power band. Well, electric, it's linear. It goes straight up. And it's just it's centrifugal force, basically. Let's see. I know G Canada. Yes, you've had your hybrid since 2012, plug-ins since 2017. I would never go all electric. Yes, 51 to 57. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's see. In 94 around OJ Bronco chase, people started buying them. Yes, actually, here's a funny fact. Complete funny fact that Ford was going to use O.J. Simpson to help launch the new Bronco. I swear to God, they were this close to starting the commercials. They literally had everything lined up to use him. And I guess somebody with some common sense went, we can't use this guy. He's a double murderer. And yeah. Yes and no. Yes and no. Yeah, I can see that, but yes and no. Well, the country isn't prepared for electric appliances. We don't have the infrastructure. My friend worked at a power company and in Tampa, and he said that the power company is at 98% capacity at all times, literally at 98% capacity. So if you start adding thousands of, like a 500,000, because Tampa's a big enough town, there's millions of people here in the Tampa area, and they power it. You add 1,000,000 electric cars. No, there's no power in the grid to supply them. Actually, the OG Broncos are huge money, way more than yeah. Yes, you can. And actually, I see a lot of them down here in Florida. It's yeah, because they didn't run away down here, so I see a lot of the OJ specials. Uh, yeah. So it's a good thing. The Broncos. Oh well. So I thank everyone for being here. I'm gonna kind of wind this up because I already did 3 podcasts this week and I'm tired. All right, one more thing. 2 more things. Uh, yeah. I drive for my job. I had to wait a couple of hours to charge my car to remote places. I would be in trouble. Absolutely. It's and then, even if you could find a place, is it compatible? Is it working? Can you get to it? Yeah. Yes, and that's the thing. Useless in the winter. A Model Y 500 kilometers, which isn't that far, and drive 250. Yeah, you use 400. Yeah, well, it's just the way batteries are. I mean, batteries don't like hot or cold. In Florida, if the cooling system goes away, the the electric appliance is done. How could the country get ready for can't. Physically impossible. Literally physically impossible. With the technology we have today, not doable. Not even close to doable. It they need so much electricity, and the infrastructure, it's designed for gas cars. And that's literally what it is. Our infrastructure is designed for things running on liquid fuel. I'll even throw LNG in there. It's made for stuff done with petroleum products, and you can't change that. You just really can't. Have you watched the stream Uncle Tony's Garage? Oh, I've got this. Yeah. Um, well, the thing I think you two would have a lot to talk about. Probably, both of us grew up in the same place. We both grew up in Staten Island, New York. I'm a little younger than him, but I remember all the things he was talking about, all the places, all the things. And I kind of had the, and he's an Italian guy, um, and same experience with fixing cars and stuff because people I have friends that say he's a hack when he works on cars and things, but I look at it and it's like, no, that's kind of how we fix cars. I mean, you don't know how many times we just kind of repaired things to make it work. It didn't have to be right. It was repaired, and we were able to use the car again. And so you just rig things to fix it. You set up to make a car actually function. So I like what he does. He's gone off some weird side projects, but you have to. It's hard. Honestly, when you do a YouTube channel, especially of his size, I mean, even seeing it at my side, to come up with ideas that are fun for other people, because that's really the hard part. Fun for other people that you can present in a very good way is difficult. And honestly, he does a pretty decent job for the amount of content he puts out. I mean, I'm lucky I put out one video a week because just with the editing and all and the creating and the filming and everything else in life and the way it's hard. So I appreciate all the guys that do you know YouTube car channels because it's a lot of work. And he is literally, he's kind of more like, he set up the stage for guys like me that are more home. And even though he was professional mechanic, works always, but he still does things like a home mechanic. And that's really the difference there. It's not a professional shop. Uh, yes, I take it. You hope you have a good weekend. I hope I do too. Um, n- we have hey, we have lots of coal. We have lots of natural gas. We're okay. We're fine. Uh, yeah, thank you. I'll have a good weekend. Thanks, Kanji Canada. All right. Yeah, you're welcome. Ratius 763. Yeah. Car stuff's a passion of mine, so that's why I do this. I enjoy it, and I'm hoping I make something enjoyable for somebody else. So that's kind of a good. All right, all about Al. Yes, peace and love. So I guess peace and love. So as always, if I'm gonna say it again, but if you have a cool car, something fun to drive, take it out. You're gonna make someone's day, probably your own. And I've had this happen to me a lot. So as they say in Italy, a presto. If you liked what you saw, subscribe. If you didn't, thank you for watching to this point. And as always, if you have a cool car or something fun to drive, take it out. You'll make someone's day, probably your own.